Hey everybody, welcome back to Works on My Machine. For today, we're going to talk about Synonllm, and this is actually something that I put together a while back. But I was recently on the Ruby AI podcast with Valentino and Joe, and one of the topics that came up was this idea of getting out of our comfort zone, working with AI generated code and working with LLMs. And Synonllm is an example of one of the areas that I explored, and it gave me a couple new ideas that I'm going to share with you today. So at its core, Synonllm is a Ruby module that hooks into method missing and uses an LLM to allow you to call methods by synonym. So if you don't know the exact method name, or if you have AI generated code that comes back in snake case or camel cased, it can find the right method. And let's jump over to the code here. You can see we've got a sublayer generator that takes in the called method, the arguments, the source code, and the available methods, and then returns the analysis method to call and a confidence score. And then down here, you can see the way it works is we define method missing, we send all of that information from that class to the LLM, and then down here on 83, we pull the method out and we call it. Now, it might sound ridiculous, but one of the examples that I used originally was, say you wanted to get the day of week, and you didn't know the name of the method. And one of the things that I was taught early on when I was learning Ruby was this idea that, don't even look at the docs, just try to call a method that you think should exist, and a lot of times it will. And this works for a lot of things, but it doesn't always work because everybody has different experience or whatever. But usually that intent is there, and you might get the name slightly wrong. So here, say you might want to call date.day of week to figure out what day of week, what the name of the day of week is for a particular date. And so if we go here and we do Ruby date, old date, we can see that day of week isn't defined. But because of the flexibility of Ruby, what we can do is we can actually require that module and then monkey patch this class date to give us the semantic method calling capabilities. So here, same code, only thing we're doing is we're monkey patching date with this module, and we're going to call Ruby date enhanced date. And you can see day of week is Thursday. One of the things that I did add here that you'll be able to see in the code is you can actually get to see the reasoning. If we set debug to true, we'll actually output the user is trying to get the day of the week for the date object. Some other methods like Sunday, question mark, Monday, method name suggestion, confidence score, etc. And so, I think this is actually kind of useful for just like scripts you're throwing together. You don't want to go dig through the docs, but you know there's a method that does the thing you're trying to do. But one of the things that came up on the podcast that got me thinking about it again was, can we take this further, and is there an actual more useful thing we can do here? And I think there is. And so Ruby's flexibility enables something like this. But then the other thing that Ruby is really good at is creating DSLs. And here's a very convoluted DSL for a file handler, or not DSL, interface for file handler. But I can have very, very descriptive method names, and then let users call them however they'd like. So this is open the file at the given file path and return a file object. Read the contents of the file at a given file path and return the contents of the file, and then read the contents of the file at a given file path and return the given number of lines. So it takes the file path and the number of lines. And you can see here, we're actually going to go ahead and use that and call and get the file using get file at, and then we can actually do this f.read file name and then the number of lines, and it'll pick the correct method. So let's go ahead and see that in action here before we dig in. Ruby file handling And so you can see reading the contents of the file path and reads the first 4 lines of the last canvas of the 11th estate. And, let's go see that in action. Let's remove that parameter and run this again. We're going to get it to read the contents of that file, and then it actually reads the entire file contents. And so let's do one more thing here before I let you go. Let's bring the 4 back. Let's comment that out, and then let's do debug equals true and see the reasoning for why it picked that particular method. A user called read with the file path and a number, suggesting they wanted to read a specific number of lines. They've got that long method name perfectly matches the intent, accepting a file path and a number of lines to read. This example is very convoluted, but I think if you look at the code here, there's an opportunity to, I think, explore new DSLs that let users kind of write it out the way that they think, or write their program in that DSL the way they think about it, and have something that semantically finds the right method. I have a couple ideas of where to take this, so definitely stick around and subscribe to see where this goes in the next couple weeks. If this gives you any ideas or you try it out, please let me know. But yeah, thanks for watching.